Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the Memorial Tournament. This is my value play show. Thank you for stopping by. To give you a quick agenda, we are going to go over ownership projections, whether the guys that I like 7,500 and below from a DFS perspective, and go over all the analysis and get you guys ready to get your final DFS lineups locked in and maybe some final bets. Okay, let's do this. As mentioned before in the earlier shows, of course, I do have my giveaway going on. Again, this is for the U.S. Open, the $100 entry Millie Maker. And all you need to do is subscribe if you're not a subscriber, like this video, and just tell me who is going to win the U.S. Open below in the YouTube comments. Then what I do is I take all the entries, I put them into this random wheel that spins, and I'm going to pick 5 winners. If for somehow I get to 1,000 subscribers, which I'm a bit off, but if somehow, I'm going to go ahead and double that, make it 10 winners. And then I will announce the winners on the next week value play show, so 7 days from today. And that way they'll give you guys some time, and simply I will get your email address for PayPal, and I'll send you over $100. Okay. The update side, I did check out some pressers. I watched Jordan Spieth and Xander Schauffele, and it wasn't really a total lot to gain. But what I did also is I stumbled on to finally an official scorecard for the upcoming event, and I wanted to just share this with you guys. There's nothing really earth-shattering, but I was kind of stating before that everything that I read that they were probably added about 100 yards onto the course. It is a little more than that, but again, some of these tee or holes are going to, move when it comes to where they put the tees. So nothing, I guess the biggest things that I see out of this is hole number 1, they've actually added 40 yards. So this used to play 450, so that's different. Makes it quite a bit tougher first hole. And also some of the par 5s that were a little more gettable, they did add some yardage on. And so if you see this green box, that means that yards have been added. Now, again, the tee boxes could move. So the ones that are that you see as significant, maybe like a 25, a 40, are the ones that really care about. If you don't see a box around the hole, it just simply meant that it actually went down in yardage or just by a little. Some of the par 3s got longer. Even the gettable par 4, number 14, they put 20 yards on. And then listening to Jordan and Xander, the only thing I really heard that they said that was different to them was the sight lines changed quite a bit on number 15. That was really it. They said everything else looked, pretty much the same. Of course, new green complexes, and also, new tees, new sod, all that. So all I really gather from all of this information is that we are going to need guys with maybe a little more distance than I was thinking about, because there's supposed to be quite a bit of rain Thursday. You've got a little more distance that is going to be required of these guys. So again, I'll probably maybe favor some builds that are going with guys that have the length and can hit the fairways. So just a total side note. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. What I added up was 269 extra yards comparative to what they played this course before. But of course, that is going to change depending on where they move the tees and what forth. And then real quick, I am leveraging some comp courses when we look at these guys just from a course fit kind of perspective. See, there's some correlation. Again, if you watched the show yesterday, Arnold Palmer, you got a couple workday events, right? You had the charity that played at Muirfield. You had the workday at Concession, which is a Jack Nicklaus design. Of course, that's a WGC event. You got the CJ Cup that fit right in from a bent grass par 72. Playability standpoint, I think is, very applicable at the CJ Cup at Shadow Creek. The Players is nowhere near from a yardage and par and all that, but it just seems like there is crossover from the guys that done well at the Players that the guys have done well at the Memorial. You got the Farmers where there is some applicability there too from, the bent greens on the North course and then the yardage from the South course. So you're kind of taking a blend, right? They played 2 days on each course. And then the 3M is probably one of the closer from a yardage, bent greens, and it's a par 71, but there's also water there. It's an easier course than Muirfield, but I just think there's some applicability. So those are the courses that I'm bouncing off, and then also I might look at some Charles Schwab because you got the bent greens that they just played at, so we'll look at that. Okay, I got this in here to remind me to go talk about ownership projections, and we'll kind of move through this. All right, so jumping over to Fantasy National Golf Club and what we are looking at here. So this is pretty up to date. I'm recording this a bit late today, so I apologize for this getting out later. But it's 5:40, as you can see right down there on Wednesday. And these are the ownership projections that are coming in and calculated. You want to look at this number over here. So right now, Jordan Spieth is about 13%. And again, I always mention when the final ownerships get locked in on DraftKings, typically this is pretty accurate. It goes, maybe a point up or a point down. But you can see the top four guys, which I'm always kind of amused by this, I'm, as I already mentioned, kind of fading these top guys. And then my favorites, which, is Morikawa, Hovland, Schauffele, not so much. But JT, I'm a bit on. Of course, he was one of my picks. You got Hideki, was one of my picks. Tony Finau right now, from a cost perspective, is coming in at the saying the highest own at 20%. Just note to self. You also got Charlie Hoffman coming in at 17%. Keegan Bradley, again, one of my picks, at 19%. Emiliano Grillo is 14.5%. Again, I'm just trying to look at the guys. Kevin Streelman, which is someone I'm going to discuss for my value plays. Matty Wallace, another one of my value plays we're going to talk about. Lucas Glover. The Gooch. Some people are jumping on the Gooch train. We'll see how that all pans out, but I like him a lot. I put him in my top 10 picks. Troy Merritt we're going to talk about. So I'm just kind of picking out some of the guys at a little bit lower cost, but Lanto Griffin is kind of funny. His game's fallen a bit on the harder times. I did look at Lanto, but it's been kind of a rough go. So he's just seeing if there's anybody. Oh, and I already know. So Kyle Stanley is going to be the super chalk bomb of the week. He's coming in at 16%, and we will talk about him also when I do the value play analysis. Okay, and then the last thing, while I'm here, I'm just going to go into wind and weather. I'm pulling this up. So this course is just north of Columbus. So this is the best spot that I found is pulling up Ohio State University Airport. If you want to pull up Wind Finder and check the weather. And as I mentioned, right now they've got a forecast where rain's supposed to start there this afternoon, and it's going to rain. It looks like it could be all Thursday. So as long as there's no lightning, they're going to play. And it doesn't look like a ton of rain, as you can see here. So it should be good. And they've got that sub-air system, so they can keep the green somewhat, manageable. But from a weather perspective, it looks like Thursday is really the only day that they're going to have some wind. So, if you're doing some showdown, it looks like the morning is not going to be that favorable from a wind perspective. So just keep that in mind. And then we look at Friday, Saturday, really not a whole lot to talk about. You got 5 to 7 mile an hour winds, sunny. So Saturday, Sunday looks good. I'm sorry, Friday, Saturday. And then Sunday, same thing. So right now from a showdown play, I don't see any advantages. The only thing I see is if, for me, I might be rostering guys in the afternoon on 2 points. Not even so much what the wind's doing, but allow the course, if it dries out a little bit, you're going to have a little better in distance, and hopefully you're not playing that much rain. So I'm going to keep an eye on it for my Thursday showdowns, and I would recommend, of course, if you're playing a showdown, if you're not already checking the weather, definitely do that. Okay, that's that. Let's go talk about the guys that I like 7,500 and down. All right, so again, still in DraftKings, and a lot like if you watch my preview show, this is kind of my mini model that I do. This is looking at 12 rounds of data. So typically it's 3 tournaments, unless you miss some cuts. The next thing, and so the main things that I'm looking at, just so you know, the big hitters are approach. You got to do that very well. The ball striking tee to green. Of course, green and reg shows up huge here. Around the green, I think is actually going to be a little more important than I was even thinking. I'm glad I have it here, but due to the sogginess and the length that, of course, there's going to be guys missing greens. Of course, I always mention the runoff, and if the greens get firm, you're going to have a good short game. But I think short game is actually going to even show up more than I was kind of thinking. And then, of course, you got the putting. On another note, I was thinking that if you are a golfer and if you ever played a course that was relatively new, when you put in greens, they take probably about 2 to 4 years for their root systems to actually grow and receive golf balls. If you play a new course that just opens up, typically if you're hitting shots into it, you're going to hit the green and you're going to watch it look like it hits like a coffee table and it's just going to fly off. So I'm really curious how these greens will receive. Now, with the rain on Thursday and quite a bit of rain, they should should receive fine. If those things dry out, I'm just curious on how these greens are going to hold up with only being a year or less in, right? And you kind of got to go off when the first green was put in to the last, trying to keep that consistency. So anyways, I'm just really curious on how the course is going to play from that side. So if the greens are just firm because there's not a good root system, again, we're going to need good around the green. So all that being said, what I've got here for you guys is 11 guys pulled up, 7,500 and below. Of course, some of my top 15 picks were even less than that. The Aaron Wise and Taylor Gooch, and I believe maybe Griot. I don't know where he fell in pricing, but I had a few guys that were actually, already below. But the guys that I like for you guys to look at, and I think are solid plays down here. Of course, it's Stewart Cink, right? He's got, now you've got three guys, right? You got Stewart Cink, who's won twice. You got Bryson DeChambeau, who's won twice, and Jason Kokrak. So he's right up there, top of there. And of course, recent results has been good. His past history here, if you look at, over the past 5 times he's played, he's only missed a cut once. The guy's been gaining on par 5s. As you see here, he's ticking all my boxes and, very high up against a 120-man field. So he's 4th on approach, 16th ball striking, 13th, 45th. So everything you want there. And then I apologize. I already got that pulled up. Save us some time. If we go look at some of the comparable courses, he had a 47th at the Arnold Palmer recently. If we look at the Workday, he had a 17th. If we look at the WGC, he did not play, so it's a WGC Mexico at concession. If we look at the Farmers, he had a 55th place. If we look at the 3M Open, he had a 46. What about the Players? He missed cut like a lot of guys did. What about the CJ Cup? That doesn't count. I'm looking for the CJ Cup at Shadow Creek, and so that one is not the one we're looking at. So all in all, also we look at his strokes gain approach. I want to show that to you. So I'm bent grass, and of course, just remember, this is a bent kind of POA hybrid. It's not a pure bent grass. All I'm saying is, the grass type on the greens isn't earth shattering, but sometimes there is guys that tend to putt better on a certain grass type. And if you see here, it looks like over the history of Cink, he's done his best work on Bermuda. This is also looking over since 2005. He's had an increase, and it keeps going up, even to recent on strokes gain approach. But really, what kind of thing gives you a better look is if you just look over his past 4 rounds, gained on putting, gained 2 out of the 4 rounds around the green, and has really been kicking ass on the approach. And that's the one probably big stat area. I know I mentioned around the green, but my first 2 is approach and putting, I think, is huge. And off the tee, we're not as concerned. Now, funny again, Cink can get the ball out there 300 yards. That's not a problem. But the last 2, he's lost off the tee. And then, before that, he was gaining. So he gets the driver back and just keeps the approach somewhere around this. I think he's going to be very live. And again, all these guys, none of them, I think, can win. These are the guys that if they get in the top 10, they're going to, really help you from a DFS perspective, move up the board, and also allow you to, of course, make builds that allow more top guys. So, okay, so let's take a look at Kevin Streelman. And if we jump into him over here, you can see how he does on his putting splits. Really nothing either way. Honestly, it's so minuscule. I wouldn't really hold anything on that. He can handle himself in the wind. This is strokes gain approach over his career. He's been on the upward tick. You get a better visual for what he's been doing over the last 4 tournaments right here. So he's gained on the putter 3 out of 4. Gained only around the green once. That was at the PGA, but gained nice strokes over the last 5 tournaments. Gained off the tee the last 5. So in good form. And if we go look at some of the comparables, he missed a cut at the Arnold Palmer, but had a 58th prior. What about the Workday? He had a 7th place. And again, that's at Muirfield Village. If you look at the WGC Mexico, he did not play at concessions. What about the Farmers? He had a 37th and a 45th and a 4th. What about the 3M? The 3M, he had a 34th, but that was 2019. What about the Players this year? He missed a cut. And lastly, he played the CJ Cup. Yeah, so he played the CJ Cup and had a 21st. So that's pretty good. So Matty Wallace, recent results have been good. As if you've been watching a bit of golf, you've seen him. He's shown up a couple days on Sundays. Of course, he had a T4 here last year. And again, he handled himself pretty well in very windy conditions. and it was crazy windy at the Memorial last year. Um, Gaining on the par fives. You know, the one area over the last 3 tournaments that he's been losing a little bit is approach that concerns me a little bit, but he's making up for it in other areas that I want to see. And if we go to Matty Wallace, I already got it pulled up. You can see he does gain on bent, and that's, you know, 0.33 of a stroke. So we'll say 3/4 of a stroke or a quarter of a stroke. He's gaining against the field when he putts. So bent and POA, as I mentioned, was a mix. His strokes gained, I thought that should be on approach. Let's see if that brings it up. So you see stroke gain approach was on the way up. It dipped a little here at the end, which you can see right here. But before that, he was gaining, you know, on approach 3, almost, you know, 10 strokes at the Valero. But this is what I like. He's really, you know, where he's typically struggled has been the putter. So it's nice to see he's got the putter. He's doing okay around the green, gaining off the tee. If he gets the approach back, he could be pretty lethal. Lucas Glover, some of these guys I pulled up because I think they're all good plays. You know, there's 11 of them. I picked the 5 that I liked the most, and that's what I'm going to give you guys. But just so you can see, you know, Lucas Glover, you can see recent results. He's been, you know, T8 recently at Charles Schwab, which, again, that was bent grass. He had a cut at Wells Fargo, T48 at T33, and a 4th at Wells, or at Valero. He's made the cut here the last 5 times he's played here. You know, nothing outstanding, but the guy's been playing good golf, the short of it. And if he has a good putter, he could do well here. He hits the ball in the fairway typically. He hits good irons. You know, someone that you know, definitely for 7,200, I'll be playing him in some of my lineups. He's not my top 5, but someone I'll be playing. Ortiz for the, you know, $7 grand. That's pretty solid. You can see over his last 12 events, everything is top third within this field. The putter's been a little sideways. His history here is not the greatest either. Last year he had a T48, but missed cut 3 years before. Pretty okay recent results. But yeah, someone else that I would consider. Of course, Cashley, he won at the Byron Nelson, missed a cut at the PGA. He also showed up at, the Waste Management, came in a second. You know, at both gaining on the par 5s. And everything here is, you know, above par, above, you know, 50%. So someone else that you could consider. And then Troy Merritt, who's been, you know, just sneakily playing really good golf and really not getting any kind of hyper press. But he, you know, his last 5 events, he's had 3 top 10s. And the guy has been, you know, you can see here, the putter's been, we'll dive into him, but the putter's been a big key weapon for him lately. And that makes me a little nervous. Let me see here. We pull up him. So from a putting perspective, POA and Bermuda is his best. He can handle himself in the wind. If we look at just from a pure strokes gained approach over his career, you know, it's kind of went dipped and it's going back up. But this is probably the analysis that I like to look, kind of break down. So, you know, what is he doing? So he never hit, you know, even though he looks like a big guy, he doesn't hit the ball very far off the tee. When I say that, like, you know, 280. But, you know, he has been gaining the last couple off the tee. He's been gaining on approach and doing really well around the green and with the putter. So this one, you know, gaining almost 7 strokes makes me, you know, I'd be a little leery if it was all done on the putter. But I mean, if you're only gaining 2-3 strokes with a putter, it means you're still managing to do other things. It's not all putter. So I like Troy Merritt. And then we look at some of his comparables. So he had a nice showing at the Arnold Palmer at Bay Hill. He's played there, you know, 3 times, but he had a 24th recently, which is nice. If you look at the workday recently, he had a 22nd. If we look at the WGC, that's not on there. What about Farmers? He had a 72nd. Nothing, I mean, he made a cut, but nothing great. Missed cut recently at the 3M Open, but has had a 7th there in the past. What do you do with the players? He missed a cut like everybody else. And the CJ Cup, that's not the one I want to look at. So there's some good comparables. The guy's playing really good golf. I think for the price tag, he's definitely someone that I'm going to take a flyer on at 6,900. Again, you know, just get me, you know, top 20, and I'm happy. Another guy that really not too many people are talking about, and I think people just kind of forgot, but Luke List, you know, had that T6 at Wells Fargo, and actually I picked him for that. I think he was a good play, and we're going to need, as I mentioned, some guys with distance, and he's, you know, great on approach, good ball striker. It's just, as you can see, the putter is where it all comes down. He's also had not a terrible past history here. I mean, he had a T10 last year. He had a T37 in 2018. And I think I already have Luke's information pulled. So you can see the putters where he typically struggles. This is strokes gain on approach on the way up. That's good. And you can see all green here. Nice block from tee to green, off the tee, approach. It's just this guy right here. And so what I thought was interesting, I think I saw. So he gained on the putter when he played here before. So that's good. Even though, like I said, we got to remember total different green complexes. So I'm not saying, but it is still the same kind of grass. It's just different. It could be different surfaces. I'm just seeing quickly also where else he's gained. The Valero, I'm pretty sure that's Bermuda. Is Quail? Quail's Bermuda too. Okay, just confirming. Okay, anyways, we run some of his comparables. Arnold Palmer, he had a 63rd. At the workday, he missed a cut. WGC Mexico, he did not play. What about the Farmers? He had a 10th at the Farmers recently. The 3M Open, he had a 32nd. The Players missed the cut. And the CJ Cup was not the one I was looking at. There's also one other thing I wanted to look at. I don't know. Let's see here. PGA, when he had the 6, was that at Valhalla? No, Bethpage, but that's POA. Anyway, I was just curious. Bethpage, really tough course. And he had a 6th place. It's over 72 to 7,400. It's POA greens. I was just curious what the green type was off the top of my head there. And then the other PGA, that's Harding Park. So, okay. Anyways, like Luke List, sorry, I was trying to figure some things out on that one. I'll be playing him. Of course, Doc Redman. A lot of guys were high on him last week. He had a T59, so I don't know how people are going to feel on him this week, but, it's had pretty good results. Good ball striker. I want to go see what he ended up. I don't remember off the top of my head, but so he lost around the green. And he lost. That's odd. So Doc doesn't typically lose 4 strokes off the tee, as you see. I mean, he can have some spurts, but typically he gains off the tee and on approach. So could be an interesting play down there if he gets the tee ball worked out. And then Kyle Stanley, everybody, I'm sure, if you've been listening to anybody else, I'm sure they're just talk about this guy. And again, good ball striker. And you can see that, he's ticking the numbers here. The one thing I know about trying to predict the golf thing, and I've said this before, and I'm just saying it again, when everybody is hot to trot and all on one guy, it typically ends up being just a big chalk bomb. And this guy, everything I see is going to be super chalk. Now, everything from a statistical, right, his tournament history here, I mean, he's got a T2, a T6, a 3rd. I mean, that's a long time ago. He also has a miscut, the most recent. So I don't think a lot of people are talking about that. They're just talking about, he's got a good history here. He's also got a 74th. You can see he's losing on par 5s. And I'm not here to bash on Kyle Stanley. He's actually been playing some good golf, hence what we see, and we're going to go click on him. What I'm just saying is be very careful. My position on this is, will I have Stanley in a lineup or two? Probably. If I put 20 or 30 lineups together, I'm going to fade him, because if he does blow up, which he could blow up as easy as anyone, probably more likely to blow up just from a putting perspective, and you can see this, the guy just, he can't putt, and he's not good around the green. So he's got to be very elite off the tee and approach to give him 3-4 footers, or he's going to be making some numbers. And you can see, he can lose 9 strokes. He lost 9 strokes at the Players. All I'm getting to out of this is you go either way with it, but be careful to build a ton of your lineups with Kyle Stanley, because if you go the other side, now you're fading and you're getting an edge on like 16% of all the people that put lineups in when he doesn't make the cut, if he doesn't make the cut. And that's the way I'm going. Just letting you know. I got him up here. I can see all the reasons why you want to play Kyle Stanley. But from a DFS in the big game, I'm going to go against, and I'm going to fade him. So just so you guys know. And literally, you go, I think Russell Knox, you can make just as much story or case, and he's half the ownership. So he's actually gaining strokes on the par 5. His tournament history, he doesn't have a miscut over the last 5 events, and these is back-to-back, except for playing 2020. But 2019, 18, pretty solid history. He's had some decent. He had a recent miscut, but he's had, pretty good showing. And if we rank him against on approach against this field, he's better on approach. Maybe not better on ball striking, but better at greens and reg by quite a bit. Better around the greens, and then they both suck at putting. But I'm just stating, I'll plug in some knocks over Kyle Stanley, I guess is all I'm saying. So long story short, that hopefully gives you some ideas. And like I said, and from a fade perspective, whenever I see anybody down that low that's that chalky, yeah, I'm gonna fade them and let the things. If Kyle Stanley ends up beating me, that's fine. Now, from a betting perspective, if you want to bet him like a top 10 or put some money on him, whatever, great. But from a DFS perspective, I think it's wise to fade him. Okay, all right. So to summarize, who I will be going with for my top value plays. I like Troy Merritt, been in great form, 3 top 10s over the last 5 tournaments. The guy's been putting, he's hitting fairways, hitting greens. Again, we're looking for him to get like a top 20, top 30, and I'm happy. You got Luke List, elite tee to green. As I've always said about Luke List, it's going to come down to the putter. But if he gets a hot putter, just like a Corey Connors, I don't think there's that. I don't want to say there's no difference, but not a huge. Put it this way: if you're going to pay $9,000 for Corey Connors, and I don't remember what Luke is, like 77,000, whatever. I don't think there's a $2,000 difference. I don't think there's that big a difference of a player. And if Corey Connors putts or Luke List putts, man, he could have a top 10. It's that simple. Like a Siwoo Kim. Matty Wallace, just hope he gets a little back to form off the tee. But the guy's been playing well. I'm going to ride it, and we're going to need some length. He's got that. He's been putting well. Stewie Cink, just, the guy has been just solid, and everything shows that he should do well here. So, again, not the win, but give me a top 20, top 30. I'm happy. And last but not least, Kevin Strummel. So all these guys that I'm kind of going with here, I'm looking for guys that are going to manage their way around the course. They played here, have some decent course history. Their game shows that they should play well here. And also their ownership isn't, ridiculous. It's not 15, 16%. So, okay, that's it for me. I wish you guys all the best of luck. I hope this helps. I hope we have a great weekend. We've had some good weekends, so I'd like to keep it going. And again, if you could please like and share if you like what I'm doing. And oh, by the way, thank you everybody. I've been getting a lot of positive comments and feedback or whatever. That's awesome. I'm gonna keep rocking this. I just appreciate you guys checking me out and giving me the feedback. So thank you. If you haven't subscribed, I'll state this always. Please subscribe. Again, it just keeps me doing what I'm doing. And if I can help you, just hit me up on the YouTube comments or on Twitter at DFS Golf Guru. Thank you so much, and let's all go win some cash this weekend, and then I'll talk to you guys Monday. All right, have a great weekend. Bye.